It's news time. Information is power. Be current. The news headline: Show no mercy to bandits, kidnappers. This analysis is by Sali Baturi, saying that when the Sokoto state government broke out the news, the bandits attacked, shot at a bus conveying travelers and burnt alive over 20 passengers. My heart bled for the victims. This is barbaric, pathetic, inhumane, and most condemnable act of wickedness. I became angry, disoriented, and prayed to Almighty God, who has power over things, to expose, destroy, and punish the perpetrators of the dastardly act, and have mercy on the soul of the deceased. On that fateful day, I expected a public outcry against that despicable crime against humanity. Nigerians from all walks of life spoke in unison against the indiscriminate killings of innocent people by bandits and kidnappers and the worrying escalation of the crime wave across the country. The bandits have been emboldened, despised everyone, and have for long crossed the line. They have the audacity to commit heinous crimes at will. They pillaged many villages in the north and enforced taxes on the people. Bello Toji, Dogo Gide, Sonny Jalingo alias Valeri, Dan Karami, and other kidnap and bandit kingpins are the de facto rulers of many villages and towns in north-western Nigeria. The Gobiru Community Development Association (GCDA) wrote in a letter to the president that Sabon Bini, Goronyo, and Issa local government areas in Sokoto State and Shinkafi local government area in Zamfara State are now under the firm control of Toji. The atrocity and inhumanity of kidnappers and bandits know no bounds. They are dangerous and pitiless creatures masquerading as men. They kill, maim, and rape the women, abductees, and they take delight in the suffering of their victims. Therefore, Nigerians were happy with the gallantry of the General Commanding Officer (GOC) of the 8th Division of Nigerian Army Sokoto Headquarters, Major General Uwembasi, who led a military operation recently that destroyed the camp of the notorious bandit leader Bello Toji and killed several bandits who have been terrorizing the people of Sokoto, Zamfara, Katsina, Kaduna, and Niger states, saying that the successful operation against the terrorist Bello Toji, who was reported to have bragged and boasted about his ability to fight and defeat the military, is a victory not only to the military who eliminated the terrorists and burnt down their camp, or the local Yansa Kai who gave useful information to the soldiers. It was a victory to Nigeria and all lovers of peace. Before the empty threats of Bello Toji and his accomplice in crime, Valeri, a coward and soulless devil who prides himself as the kidnapper of students in Kaduna State, the man who bragged of killing 7 out of every 10 abductees in his captivity to prove to the government that he meant business, there lived in Zamfara State a deadly bandit by name Buhari Ndaji, and it was Buhari Ndaji who played God and threatened to kill any farmer who attempted to cultivate the farm in Zamfara State. Buhari Ndaji did not live to see the next rainfall, and one of these lieutenants, the equally notorious kidnapper cum bandit Dogo Gide, also ended his life. The debate going on about faith of marauding bandits and kidnappers is needless, saying that there are neither Muslims nor Christians. Their religion is violence. Say violence is their work, and that not either Islam or Christianity, saying that they were born and bred in the jungle, and this explains the reason they apply jungle justice to their hapless and helpless victims. They are horde of wicked and heartless animals disguised as men. They do not respect or show compassion to children, women, or the aged. Their existence poses a threat to humanity as a whole, and they are common enemies that we must survive and fight and subdue in order to live prosperously. He should be allowed to change clothing, and in a statement signed by the lawyer, he noted that the hearing there was a total absence of security operatives in the court and around the outer perimeters, as was the case during previous proceedings. Also, Ejimako stated that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu was not in court, and there was no officer from the Department of State Service to explain why. However, what he surmised, both the court and the DSS might have concluded that his presence in court was not strictly required in the sort of application that was moved in court today. The lawyer also claimed that the court did not grant Kanu's legal team the leave to move the application challenging the jurisdiction of the court to continue their trial. The statement further read that recall that we had filed such application arguing that the extraordinary rendition of Kanu constitutes a constitutional barrier for his trial. The court ruled that the application was not calendared for hearing today, that it would be heard in the next adjourned date. The court, after going through what it said is a tight judicial calendar, moved the date of the next hearing backwards from 19th to 18th January 2022. The court ruled that it will entertain all outstanding applications at the next hearing date and proceed to make following orders. The Mazi Nnamdi Kanu be given maximum comfort possible in the detention facility, that he be allowed a change of clothing. And this was the conclusion at the emergency sitting that they had for Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, which we know that for quite a while now has been at the DSS facility awaiting trial for treason, felony, and also terrorism charges. And during times wherever Mazi Nnamdi Kanu presents himself at the court, there is always a heavy security presence, there, so as to ensure, the needed. And the DSS, although there has been complaints from the lawyers of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu and also well-wishers and the IPOB members that the people are actually hindered from accessing the courtrooms, and also heavy security presence around, to threaten, and scare people off the environment. And the lawyer says that in this case of emergency meeting, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu was not brought to the court at all, and there was no security agencies to explain why, because their presence as well was not there. However, it has been said now that the court has said that they would not be listening to the plea of the legal counsel of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, who had said that the case as at now was not, the court does not have the jurisdiction to continue that trial, because Mazi Nnamdi Kanu was unlawfully extradited from Kenya back to Nigeria, and by that virtue the court was not supposed to attend to such a case by trying Mazi Nnamdi Kanu because of that unlawful extradition of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu back to Nigeria. However, the court had said that this emergency sitting was not meant for this particular case, and that it will be heard in the next trial, and also said that the court said that they will be checking into these applications whenever in the next sitting, and I said that the only thing that the court had actually emphatically placed mandate on is that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu should be granted good comfort in the detention facility, should be able to change his clothes as when due, and be given proper care in the DSS facility. Thereafter appointed Governor Buni to head the Caretaker Extraordinary Convention Planning Committee, CECPC, and he was immediately sworn by the Minister of Justice and Attorney General of the Federation, AGF, Abubakar Malami. While addressing party leaders at the meeting, President Muhammadu Buhari had called for the immediate suspension of all pending litigations involving the APC and its members.